Mad Max, Fury Road is a 2015 Australian post-apocalyptic action film co-written, co-produced and directed by George Miller, who collaborated with Brendan McCarthy and Nico Lathouris on the screenplay. The fourth installment in the Mad Max franchise, it was produced by Village Roadshow Pictures and Kennedy Miller Mitchell, and distributed by Roadshow Entertainment in Australia and by Warner Brothers Pictures internationally. 9. The film stars Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron, with Nicholas Hoult, Hugh Keays-Byrne, Rosie Huntington-Whiteley, Riley Keough, Zoë Kravitz, Abbey Lee, and Courtney Eaton. Set in a post-apocalyptic desert wasteland where petrol and water are scarce commodities, it follows Max Rockatansky, Hardy, who joins forces with Imperator Furiosa, Theron, against warlord Immortan Joe, Keays-Byrne, and his army, leading to a lengthy road battle. Miller came up with the idea for Mad Max, Fury Road in 1987, but the film spent many years in development hell before pre-production began in 1998. 10 attempts to shoot the film in the 2000s were delayed numerous times due to the September 11 attacks, the Iraq War, and controversies surrounding star Mel Gibson, leading Miller to recast Gibson's role of Max Rockatansky. Miller decided to pursue the film again in 2007 after the release of his animated comedy film Happy Feet. In 2009, Miller announced that filming would begin in early 2011. Hardy was cast as Max in June 2010, with production planned to begin that November. Principal photography was delayed several more times before it actually began in July 2012. The film wrapped in December 2012, although additional footage was shot in November 2013. Mad Max, Fury Road premiered in Los Angeles on May 7, 2015, and was released in Australia on May 14. The film grossed $380.4 million at the worldwide box office, making it the highest-grossing Mad Max film. It was nominated for 10 awards at the 88th Academy Awards, winning 6 awards, and received numerous other accolades, including Best Film from the National Board of Review, 8 IACTA awards from 12 nominations including Best Film and Best Direction, and was also named one of the top 10 films of 2015 by the American Film Institute. It has also been called one of the greatest action films of all time. A prequel comic book series was published by Vertigo from May to August 2015. A prequel film, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, was released on May 24, 2024, with Miller returning as writer and director. Plot: Max Rockatansky is captured by cult leader Immortan Joe's war boys and taken to his fortress called the Citadel. Max, a universal donor, is forced to transfuse his blood to Nux, a sick war boy. 11. Meanwhile, Joe sends his lieutenant Imperator Furiosa in the armored war rig to trade produce and water for petrol and ammunition with 2 of his allies, the Bullet Farmer and the People Eater. When Joe realizes his 5 wives are fleeing in the rig, he leads his entire army in pursuit, calling on his allies to help. Nux joins the pursuit with Max strapped to his car, and a chasing battle ensues. After entering enemy territory and fending off a rival gang, Furiosa drives into a dust-choked supercell and loses all of her pursuers except Nux, who attempts to sacrifice himself to blow up the rig. Max frees himself and restrains Nux, and Furiosa destroys Nux's car. After the sandstorm, Max catches Furiosa repairing the rig, accompanied by Joe's wives, Toast, Capable, Cheeto, the Dag, and Angharad, the latter 2 being pregnant with Joe's children. Max fights and subdues Furiosa, but her engine kill switch prevents him from stealing the rig. Max begrudgingly agrees to help Furiosa's group escape Joe's wrath. Nux sneaks onto the rig and attempts to kill Furiosa, but the women overpower him and throw Nux out. Nux rejoins Joe's army when it catches up. Furiosa drives through a canyon controlled by a biker gang, having pre-arranged to trade petrol for safe passage. The bikers betray her when they spot Joe's army approaching, forcing her to flee. The bikers detonate the canyon walls to block Joe and pursue the rig as Max and Furiosa fend them off. Joe drives over the blockade in a monster truck and catches up with the rig. He sends Nux to carjack the rig, but Nux stumbles and drops his weapon, to Joe's disgust. While helping Max, Angharad falls off the rig, and Joe fatally runs her over. Capable finds Nux hiding in the rig and consoles him. At night, Furiosa and Max drive through a swamp and get stuck in the mud. They slow Joe's forces with landmines, but the bullet farmer continues the pursuit in his ATV. Furiosa and Max work together to blind the bullet farmer and disable his ATV. Moved by Capable's compassion, Nux joins the group and helps get the rig moving again. In the morning, Furiosa tells Max that her group is escaping to a green place, the bountiful land where she grew up before being kidnapped and brought to the Citadel. She spots a green place watchtower and identifies herself to the woman at top who summons their matriarchal clan called the Vuvalini. The Vuvalini recognize Furiosa as one of their own but inform a devastated Furiosa that the green place was the now uninhabitable swamp from the previous night and that only 7 Vuvalini are left. The group decides to ride across an immense salt flat, hoping to find a new home on the other side. Max goes his own way. After seeing a vision of the child he was unable to save, Max catches up with the group and convinces them to return to the Citadel since they do not know what lies beyond the salt flat, but do know that the now undefended Citadel has ample water and crops. Joe intercepts them, and in the ensuing battle, 5 Vuvalini are killed, Toast is captured, and Furiosa is severely wounded. Joe overtakes the rig as they approach the canyon. While Max fights Joe's son and enforcer Rictus, Furiosa boards Joe's truck to rescue Toast, who distracts Joe, allowing Furiosa to kill him. The remnants of the group drive Joe's truck back to the Citadel, while Nux sacrifices himself by wrecking the rig to block the canyon behind them, killing Rictus. Max transfuses his blood to Furiosa, saving her life. Back at the Citadel, the people rejoice upon learning of Joe's death. As Max's companions are lifted to Joe's cliffside fortress, Max and Furiosa glance at each other before Max disappears into the crowd. Cast and crew attending the premiere of the film at the 2015 Cannes Film Festival. Tom Hardy as Mad Max Rockatansky, a former police officer 12. Charlize Theron as Imperator Furiosa, a woman with a prosthetic left arm with whom Max allies 12. Nicholas Hoult as Nux, a sickly warboy who Max is briefly chained to 12. Hugh Keays-Byrne as Immortan Joe, the ruler of the Citadel 12. Josh Hellman as Slid, Nux's lancer. Nathan Jones as Rictus Erectus, Joe's muscular, unintelligent son. Rosie Huntington-Whiteley as the splendid Angharad, a barefoot woman who is Joe's most treasured breeder. Pregnant with his child, she is shown to be strong yet compassionate and protective, and as the de facto leader of the other wives. Zoë Kravitz as Toast the Knowing, a barefoot woman who is another of Joe's wives. She is the most practical and intellectual of the 5 and is shown to have good knowledge of guns. Riley Keough as Capable, a red-haired woman and another of Joe's wives, she appears to be the most level-headed and mature of the 5 and forms a bond with the warboy Nux. 12. Abbey Lee as the Dag, a white-haired girl and another of Joe's wives, she has an eccentric and bold personality who is later shown to form a bond with the Keeper of Seeds. Courtney Eaton as Cheeto the Fragile, a barefoot teenage girl who is the youngest of Joe's wives. She is portrayed as the meekest and most fearful, and is initially afraid to leave Joe. However, she becomes more courageous later on. John Howard as the People Eater, a minion of Joe who rules Gastown. Richard Carter as the Bullet Farmer, a minion of Joe who rules the Bullet Farm. Iota as the Doof Warrior, Coma, the eyeless guitarist who travels with Joe's war convoy and whose guitar doubles as a flamethrower. Angus Sampson as the Organic Mechanic, a doctor who works for Joe. Jennifer Hagen as Miss Giddy, the caretaker of Joe's wives. Megan Gale as the Valkyrie, the youngest of the Vuvalini and Furiosa's childhood friend. Melissa Jaffer as Keeper of the Seeds, one of the Vuvalini. Melita Jurasic, Gillian Jones, Joy Smithers, Antoinette Kellerman, and Christina Cook as the Vuvalini. John Isles as the Ace, head of security on the war rig. Quinton Kinahan as Corpus Colossus, Joe's son who has a physical disability that stunted his growth and prevents him from being able to walk. Coco Jack Gillies as Glory the Child, the young girl in Max's flashbacks. Chris Patton as Morsof. Stephen Dunleavy as the Rock Rider Chief, the Winchman. Richard Norton as the Prime Imperator. Lee Perry as the Many Voices. Production. The film was produced by Doug Mitchell, George Miller, and P.J. Fuitin, who was also first assistant director. 13. Development. Mad Max, Fury Road had a lengthy gestation period. In 1987, George Miller had the idea of making a Mad Max installment that was almost a continuous chase. 14. He got an idea for the plot in 1998 when he was walking across a street in Los Angeles, and about a year later, while traveling from Los Angeles to Australia, a story in which violent marauders were fighting, not for oil or for material goods, but for human beings coalesced. Citation needed. Miller said he worked with 5 storyboard artists to design the film in storyboard form before writing the screenplay, producing about 3,500 panels, which is almost the same as the number of shots as in the finished film, as he wanted the film to be almost a continuous chase, with relatively little dialogue, and to have the visuals come first. 15. The screenplay was written with Nico Lathouris and cult British comic creator Brendan McCarthy, who also designed many of the new characters and vehicles. 16. The film entered pre-production at 20th Century Fox in the early 2000s and was set to star Mel Gibson, who had portrayed Max Rockatansky in the first 3 films in the series, with Sigourney Weaver contemplated for the female co-lead, which would later become Imperator Furiosa, suggested by Gibson himself after they had worked together in Peter Weir's The Year of Living Dangerously, and Miller agreed on the idea. However, production was indefinitely postponed after the September 11 attacks in 2001 caused the American dollar to collapse against the Australian dollar, and our budget ballooned. 17. As Miller has said in several interviews since the film was released in 2015, 9/18 or due to security concerns and tightened travel and shipping restrictions during the lead-up to the Iraq War caused issues with the proposed Namibian shoot, as had been reported previously. 19/20/21 In either event, Miller said he then had to commit to Happy Feet because we had the digital facility booked to do it, and by the time he got back to work on the Mad Max project 4 years later, Gibson had all that turbulence in his life. 17. Both Miller and Gibson himself said the passage of time had made Gibson's age a factor, since the film wasn't about an old road warrior. 17. In 2006, Miller said he was thinking about making Fury Road without Gibson. 1922 He confirmed his intention to make another Mad Max film in 2007 and stated that he thought Gibson was focused on his own films and was also too old to play the part. 23/24 On March 5, 2009, it was announced that an R-rated animated feature film inspired by Japanese anime, but adapted for Western audiences, was in pre-production that would be taking much of the plot from Fury Road and would not feature Gibson's voice. 25 Miller was also developing an action-adventure tie-in video game based on the 4th film with God of War 2 designer Cory Barlog. Both projects were expected to take 2 to 2.5 years and, according to Miller, would be released in 2011 or 2012. 25 The animated Fury Road was going to be produced by Dr. D Studios, a digital art studio founded in 2008 by Miller and Doug Mitchell. 25. On May 18, 2009, it was reported that location scouting was underway for Fury Road, which could go into production later this year. 26 Miller had decided to shoot a live-action film after all, and already had the various vehicles built for years now, as they were built for the doomed Fury Road shoot. 26 By this time, the project had moved from Fox to Warner Brothers. 9 In October, Miller announced that principal photography on Fury Road would commence at Broken Hill, New South Wales in August 2010. 27 That same month, British actor Tom Hardy was in negotiations to take the lead role of Max, and it was also announced that Charlize Theron would play a major role. 28 The finalists for the part of Max were Hardy, Armie Hammer, and Jeremy Renner, with Michael Fassbender, Joel Kinnaman, Heath Ledger, Eric Bana, and Eminem, who did not wish to leave the United States, all having been considered at various stages of the film's extended development. 18-29-30 Hardy announced he had been cast on Friday Night with Jonathan Ross in June 2010. 31. In July 2010, Miller announced plans to shoot 2 Mad Max films back-to-back, entitled Mad Max, Fury Road and Mad Max, Furiosa. 32 Weta Digital was involved with the film when it was scheduled for a 2012 release. 33 The company was to handle visual effects until production was postponed from its November 2010 start date. 34 Specialty physical effects house Weta Workshop provided conceptual designs, early character look development, prototyping, and specialty makeup effects. 35. After unexpected heavy rains caused wildflowers to grow in the desert around Broken Hill, filming was moved from Broken Hill back to Namibia in November 2011. 36 Other potential locations scouted included the Atacama Desert in Chile, Shot El Jared in Tunisia, and Azerbaijan. 37. Miller said he did not feel he had to top the production design of the previous films in the series. Instead, he wanted the design to harken back to the earlier films and reflect the changes of the past 30 years. Colin Gibson, the production designer, said the filmmakers developed an internally consistent history to explain the film's look and justify its use of hot rods. 38 He designed the vehicles in the film, some of which were constructed as early as 2003. 39, and all of which were fully functional. 40 of the 150 vehicles constructed, only 88 survived to the end of filming, with the others built to facilitate their intended method of destruction. 41 The War Rig, the film's most prominent vehicle, was made by combining a Tatra 815 and Chevrolet Fleetmaster and fusing a Volkswagen Beetle to the hull, among other modifications. 41-42 The cars were designed with an emphasis on detail and characterization. An effort was made to show the various characters' attempts to recycle the remains of civilization and their feelings of guilt and loss. 40. Filming. Director George Miller during the shooting of the film in 2012. Cinematographer John Seale came out of retirement to shoot Fury Road 43, replacing Dean Semler, the cinematographer of the previous 2 Mad Max films, who left the film near the end of its preparation period. 44 It was the first project Seale filmed with digital cameras. 44 He outfitted his crew with 6 Arri Alexa Pluses and 4 Alexa MS, as well as a number of Canon EOS 5DS and Olympus Pen EP5S that were used as crash cams for the action sequences. 45 As the Canon cameras were simple consumer-grade ones, when one would break, the crew would simply source new ones locally from an airport store. 46 Because of the fast-paced editing style Miller intended for the film, he asked Seale to keep the point of interest of each shot in the center of the frame so the audience did not have to search for it. 47. Principal photography began in July 2012 in Namibia 18 with most of the filming based in the Durban National Park. 48 Some scenes were also shot at the Cape Town Film Studios in Cape Town, South Africa. 49-50 In October 2012, The Hollywood Reporter reported that Warner Brothers sent an executive to Namibia to keep the production on track. 51 Filming wrapped on December 8, 2012, although the opening and closing scenes at the Citadel had still not been shot. 18. A draft from the Namibian Coast Conservation and Management Project that accused the producers of damaging parts of the Namib Desert, endangering a number of plant and animal species, was leaked in February 2013. 52-53 The Namibia Film Commission said it had no reservations after visiting the set during production and disputed claims reported in the media, calling the accusations unjust rhetoric. 54. Filming went over budget and producers forced the film to wrap before any of the Citadel scenes had been shot. A change of leadership at Warner Brothers later allowed production to continue and the missing scenes be filmed. 55 In September 2013, it was announced that the film would add pickups of the opening and closing scenes at the Citadel. Filming continued on November 22, 2013 at Potts Hill and Penrith Lakes in Western Sydney 56 and concluded in December 2013 at Fox Studios Australia. 49:57. Miller invited playwright Eve Ensler to act as an on-set advisor. Impressed with the script's depth and what she saw as feminist themes, she spent a week in Namibia, where she spoke to the actors about issues of violence against women. 58 According to Miller, 90% of the effects in the film were achieved practically. 59 Both the Doofwagon and the Doof Warrior's guitar are fully functional, and none of his scenes were rendered using CGI even when the guitar shoots fire. 62nd Unit Director and Supervising Stunt Coordinator Guy Norris was in charge of over 150 stunt performers, some of whom were from Cirque du Soleil. 61 Hardy later said he had a hard time seeing Miller's vision during production, which frustrated him. He understood after seeing the finished film, however, and started his press briefing with a lengthy apology to Miller, calling the director brilliant. 62 Theron and Hardy clashed on set during filming. 63 64 65 Hardy would show up late to set frequently, disrupting the shooting schedule. 66 67 Post-production. Miller recruited his wife, Margaret Sixel, to edit the film, as he felt she could make it stand out from other action films. 68 Sixel had 480 hours of footage to edit, which took 3 months to watch. 69 The film contains about 2,700 cuts in 120 minutes, or 22.5 cuts per minute, compared to Mad Max 2's 1,200 cuts in 90 minutes, or 13.33 cuts per minute. 70. According to Seal, something like 50 or 60% of the film is not running at 24 frames a second, which is the traditional frame rate. It'll be running below 24 frames because George, if he couldn't understand what was happening in the shot, he slowed it down until you could. Or if it was too well understood, he'd shorten it or he'd speed it up back towards 24. His manipulation of every shot in that movie is intense. 71. The Washington Post noted that the changing frame rate gives the film an almost cartoonishly jerky look. 72. The film contains 2,000 visual effects shots. 73. The lead effects company was Elara, which produced more than 1,500 effects shots for the film. 74 additional visual effects studios that worked on the film include Method Studios, Brave New World VFX, Stereo D, 4D Max, Black Ginger, The Third Floor, and Dr. D Studios. 75-76 The effects work included altering lighting and time of day, weather effects, terrain replacement, and plate composition. 77. Sound designer Mark Mangini stated that he viewed the war rig as an allegory for Moby Dick, with Immortan Joe playing the role of Captain Ahab. As such, the mechanical truck sounds of the rig were layered with whale calls to provide a more animal-like quality, and when the tank is pierced with harpoons and milk sprays out, sounds of whales breathing from their blowholes were incorporated. For the final destruction of the war rig, the only sounds used were slowed-down bear growls to symbolize the death of the truck as a living creature. 78. Although Miller was contractually obligated to deliver a PG-13 film, Warner Brothers decided to hold test screenings for 2 different versions, a studio cut and a Miller cut. The Miller cut tested better than the studio cut, so Warner Brothers decided to release the film with an R rating. 79. Miller had originally planned to shoot the film in native 3D, but this idea was eventually scrapped, due to both budgetary concerns and doubts that the 3D cameras could withstand the tough desert filming conditions and extensive stunt work, and it was converted to 3D in post-production instead. 80. Music. Main article, Mad Max, Fury Road, Soundtrack. The musical score for Mad Max, Fury Road was written by the Dutch composer Junkie XL. 81. Prior to his involvement, Hans Zimmer, John Powell, and Marco Beltrami were attached at separate times to score the film. 82-83. A soundtrack album was released by Watertower Music on May 12, 2015. 84. Themes. Survival and humanity. Miller described the film's key theme as survival, which he said it has in common with the American westerns that were such a staple for the better part of a century in American cinema. 85. While several critics wrote that the primary theme of Mad Max, Fury Road is the attempt to retain humanity in the face of apocalyptic events. 86-87. Max begins the film as a survivor haunted by visions of deceased people and recovers his humanity by partnering with Furiosa. 88. Feminism. Feminism is another theme that has received academic attention. 89. Charlize Theron as Furiosa is the dramatic center of the film. 18. Throughout, Furiosa demonstrates the physicality of a hero committed to a rescue mission that sets up the start of a matriarchy as an antidote to the barbarian, warlike tribes that came before. 90. These elements contrast this film with the male-centered stories of the previous Mad Max films. 91. Disability. Some literary scholars identified disability as a theme of the film, predominantly due to Furiosa's prosthetic arm. 92. Immortan Joe also deals with disabilities, but is obsessed with able-bodiedness, and is the antithesis to Furiosa's pro-disablism. The film has been praised by disability scholars for its inclusion and treatment of disabled people. 93. Other themes. Miller described the film as a very simple allegory, almost a western on wheels. 94. Further themes pointed out by critics include vengeance, solidarity, home, and redemption. 95. Home dominates the motivations of Max, Furiosa, and the five wives. Max's home was destroyed, Furiosa was taken from her home, and the wives are in search of a new home to raise their children. 96. The unity of these characters harnesses a concern for family, which is a common theme in Miller's films, Happy Feet 2 and Babe, Pig in the City. 97. Themes of ecological collapse and moral decadence are also present in the film. 98. Release. Comic books. See also, Mad Max, Fury Road, comic book. In May 2015, Vertigo Comics began publishing a comic book prequel limited series consisting of 4 issues, with each issue focusing on the backstory of one or two of the film's characters. The first issue, titled Mad Max, Fury Road, Nux and Immortan Joe No. 1, was released on May 20th. The second, Mad Max, Fury Road, Furiosa No. 1, was released on June 17th. The third, Mad Max, Fury Road, Mad Max No. 1, was released on July 8th, and the fourth, Mad Max, Fury Road, Mad Max No. 2, was released on August 5th. 99-100. A deluxe edition hardcover collection of art inspired by the film, titled Mad Max, Fury Road, Inspired Artists Deluxe Edition, was released by Vertigo on May 6th. 99. Theatrical. The film had its world premiere at the TCL Chinese Theater in Los Angeles on May 7, 2015. 101. It screened out of competition at the 68th Cannes Film Festival on 14 May 102, and it was theatrically released in the United States the next day. 103. Home media. Miller said the Blu-ray disc release of the film would include black and white and silent versions of the film, with the latter accompanied by the musical score, and described the black and white cut as the best version. 104-105. However, when details for the initial UK and US releases of the Blu-ray were announced, the alternate cuts were missing. 106-107. The film was released on both 3D and standard Blu-ray as well as DVD in the UK on October 5, 2015. 108. In the US, it was released digitally on August 11, 2015, and physically on September 1. In addition to the standalone release, a box set containing all 4 Mad Max films and a documentary about the series titled The Madness of Max was released the same day. 109. Producer Doug Mitchell confirmed in December 2015 that the black and white version of the film existed and could potentially see a future theatrical release. 110. In January 2016, Miller announced that the black and white version would appear on a later DVD release. 111. And it debuted as part of the Mad Max high-octane anthology released in October 2016, with the black and white version of Fury Road called the Black and Chrome Edition. The Black and Chrome Edition was made without the involvement of cinematographer John Seale, but Seale said the idea was beautifully dramatic and he thought the new version will emphasize the actors' performances. 112. Home media editions of Mad Max Fury Road were among the top-selling video titles in the US in 2015 and 2016. 113. 114. As of 2024, over 3 million copies have been sold, for a total revenue of $56.9 million. 115. Reception. Box office. Mad Max Fury Road grossed $154.3 million in the United States and Canada, and $226.1 million in other countries, for a worldwide total of $380.40 million, against a production budget of $154.6 to $185.1 million. 7. It was the 21st highest grossing film of 2015. 116. Although the film made a gross profit, The Hollywood Reporter calculated that the net loss incurred by the film was around $20 to $40 million. 117. In the United States and Canada, the film was released in 3,702 theaters the same weekend as Pitch Perfect 2. 118. It earned $16.77 million its opening day. 119. Which included $3.7 million from Thursday night screenings at 3,000 theaters. 120. 121. The film grossed $45.4 million its opening weekend, finishing in second at the box office behind Pitch Perfect 2, $69.2 million. 122. Critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 97% of 439 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 8.60/10. The website's critics' consensus reads, with exhilarating action and a surprising amount of narrative heft, Mad Max Fury Road brings George Miller's post-apocalyptic franchise roaring vigorously back to life. 123. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 90 out of 100, based on 51 critics, indicating universal acclaim. 124 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A+ to F scale. 120. Robbie Collin of the Daily Telegraph gave the film a full 5 out of 5 and praised its acting, screenplay, choreography, stunts, humor, and direction, describing it as a Krakatoan eruption of craziness. 125. Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian awarded it 4 out of 5 and wrote that it is extravagantly deranged, ear-splittingly cacophonous, and entirely over the top, a bizarre convoy chase action thriller in the post-apocalyptic desert. 126. Lindsay Barr of the Associated Press described the film as radically visionary. 127. Robert W. Butler of the Kansas City Star gave the film a scoring of 3 out of 4, saying, "A mind-boggling exercise in pure action. Mad Max Fury Road is overwhelming, achieving the sort of visual poetry typically ascribed to Ben-Hur's Chariot Race or one of Sam Peckinpah's Blood Ballets." 128. IGN reviewer Scott Kalura gave the film 9.2 out of 10, writing, "The over-the-top stunts and eccentric characters and designs are all hugely important to Fury Road, as are the troubled figures like Max himself and Furiosa, but it's the overriding sense of the film's uniqueness, its striving to be something more than just another action movie, that is most impressive." 129. Richard Roeper of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 4 out of 4 and wrote that Theron and Hardy are one of the best action duos ever, in one of the best action movies. 88. Similarly, Rolling Stone's Peter Travers called the film a new action classic, and gave particular praise to its editing, costumes, and soundtrack. 130. Nicholas Hoult of the San Francisco Chronicle wrote a mixed review, praising the cinematography and Theron's performance, but describing the film as a long, dull chase. 131. The film has been praised by scholars on several fronts. Women's studies scholars have praised the dominant role taken by Furiosa and the range of atypical female roles, including the wives and the gun-toting Vuvalini. 132. And disability studies scholars have commended its positive, non-stigmatizing portrayals of physical and psychological disabilities. 133. Accolades. Main article, list of accolades received by Mad Max, Fury Road. At the 88th Academy Awards, Mad Max, Fury Road received nominations for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography, and Best Visual Effects, and won Best Film Editing, Best Production Design, Best Costume Design, Best Makeup and Hair Styling, Best Sound Mixing and Best Sound Editing. Its 6 awards were more than any other film at that year's ceremony and set a new record for the most wins by an Australian film. 134. 135. The film's other nominations include 7 British Academy Film Awards, winning 4, 136. 13 Critics' Choice Movie Awards, winning 9, 137 and 2 Golden Globe Awards. 138. It won Best Film at the National Board of Review Awards 2015. 139 and was named one of the 10 best films of 2015 by the American Film Institute. 140. Listed on over 170 film critics' top 10 lists for 2015, including 58 first-place rankings and 26 second-place rankings, the film topped Metacritic's tally of film critics' year-end best film lists 141, and it was also named Rotten Tomatoes' best-scoring film of 2015. 142. 143. A 2016 BBC poll of 177 film critics listed Mad Max, Fury Road as the 19th best film of the 21st century. 144. And the New York Times placed it 19th on its own list. 145. Empire and The Independent respectively named it first and 19th best in 2020. 146. 147. The film's screenplay was listed number 68 on the Writers Guild of America's 101 Greatest Screenplays of the 21st Century, so far, in 2021. 148. 149. The February 2020 issue of New York Magazine lists Mad Max, Fury Road as among the best movies that lost Best Picture at the Oscars. 150. In addition, several critics considered Fury Road to be one of the greatest action films ever made. 151. While it appeared on numerous Best Films of the Decade lists. 152. 153. It was ranked first on the AV Club Critics The 100 Best Movies of the 2010s, 154. Third on Variety's The Best Films of the Decade, 155, and 9th on The Hollywood Reporter's The 10 Best Films of the Decade. 156. It also appeared, unranked, on the New York Times The 10 Most Influential Films of the Decade, and 20 Other Favorites, 157. Wired's The 24 Absolute Best Movies of the 2010s, 158. And the Los Angeles Times The Best Movies of the Decade, Kenneth Turan and Justin Chang's Essential Picks. 159. In Metacritic's tally of lists of the best films of the decade, Fury Road topped more lists than any other film, with 20 critics placing it at number 1. 160. In 2025, the film ranked number 11 on the New York Times list of the 100 best movies of the 21st century, 161, and number 7 on Rolling Stone's equivalent. 162. Franchise. Spin-off. Main article, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. During the writing process for Fury Road in 2011, Miller and McCarthy found that they had enough story material for 2 additional scripts. 163 Miller told Wired in May 2015 that if the film became successful, he would tell the other 2 stories. 164 In November 2017, it was reported that a lawsuit filed by Miller's production company against Warner Brothers over a disputed $7 million bonus was likely to delay the production of any further Mad Max films. 165 However, the legal dispute was resolved in 2019 or 2020, enabling pre-production to move forward. 166 167 In October 2020, a prequel to Fury Road, titled Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, entered advanced development at Warner Brothers, in collaboration with Miller and Mitchell under their Kennedy-Miller-Mitchell banner. 168 Miller directed the film and co-wrote the screenplay with Nico Lathouris. 168 Anya Taylor-Joy portrayed a young Furiosa, Chris Hemsworth portrayed her nemesis Dementus, and Tom Burke portrayed her mentor Jack. In addition, Jacob Tamuri, Tom Hardy's stuntman in Fury Road, had a cameo appearance as Max Rockatansky, and Josh Hellman and Brian Probitz portrayed Scabrous Scrotus and Chumbucket, characters created for the 2015 Mad Max video game, set between Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome and Fury Road. The film was released on May 24, 2024. 169. Possible sequel. Main article, Mad Max, The Wasteland. In March 2015, during an interview with Esquire, Hardy revealed that he was attached to star in 3 more Mad Max films following Fury Road. 170 In July 2019, Miller told IndieWire that 3 films were being considered, 2 Mad Max stories and a Furiosa story, the latter of which was eventually produced first. 171. In May 2015, Miller revealed that one of these proposed films would be titled Mad Max, The Wasteland. 172-173 Although he clarified that The Wasteland was a working title. 174 The Wasteland is another Fury Road prequel that would trace Max's travels in the Wasteland in the year preceding his capture by Immortan Joe's forces at the start of Fury Road. 175. Following the release of Furiosa, The Hollywood Reporter clarified that The Wasteland was not yet in development. 176 In June 2024, Hardy, while promoting The Bike Riders, said in an interview that, "I don't think The Wasteland is happening." 177. In February 2025, Miller expressed further interest in making The Wasteland despite Furiosa underperforming, though he wished to commit to other projects first, saying The Wasteland is not something I would do next, because there's 2 things I'm keen to do next. But if for whatever reason the planets align, you can never tell. Too often, you're lining up to do a movie and then something happens. Some things fall into place and some don't, so all I can say is we'll see. Edward Thomas Hardy, born September 15, 1977, is an English actor, known for starring in both independent and major studio productions, in which he often portrays brooding, intense, and psychologically complex characters. After studying acting at the Drama Centre London, he made his film debut in Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down in 2001. He had supporting roles in the films Star Trek, Nemesis, 2002, and Rock'n'Rolla, 2008, and went on to star in Bronson, 2008, Warrior, 2011, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, 2011, Lawless, 2012, This Means War, 2012, and Locke, 2013. In 2015 he starred as Mad Max Rockatansky in Mad Max, Fury Road and both Cray twins in Legend, and was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for his role in The Revenant. Hardy appeared in 3 Christopher Nolan films, Inception, 2010, The Dark Knight Rises, 2012, and Dunkirk, 2017. He has since starred as the title character in the film Venom, 2018, and its two sequels. Hardy's television roles include the HBO war miniseries Band of Brothers, 2001, the BBC historical drama miniseries The Virgin Queen, 2005, Bill Sikes in the BBC's miniseries Oliver Twist, 2007, Heathcliff in ITV's Wuthering Heights, 2009, and Alfie Solomons in the BBC crime drama series Peaky Blinders, 2014 to 2022. He also created, co-produced and took the lead in the historical fiction miniseries Taboo, 2017. Hardy has performed on both British and American stages. He was nominated for a Laurence Olivier Award for his role in the production of In Arabia We'd All Be Kings, 2003. He has also starred in productions of The Man of Mode, 2007, and The Long Red Road, 2010. Hardy is active in charity work and is an ambassador for the Prince's Trust. 1-2 He was appointed a CBE in the 2018 birthday honors for services to drama. 3-4. Early life and education. Edward Thomas Hardy was born in Hammersmith, London 5 on September 15, 1977. 6-7 The only child of N. Barrett, an artist and painter, and the novelist and comedy writer Edward Chips Hardy. 8-9-10 He is of Irish descent on his mother's side. 11 He was raised in London's East Sheen suburb. 12 Hardy attended Tower House School, Reed School, and Duff Miller Sixth Form College. Hardy later studied at Richmond Drama School and the Drama Centre London, now a part of Central St Martin's. 13-14 Hardy has named the actor Gary Oldman, with whom he would later work on Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, as his hero and added that he mirrored scenes from Oldman while at drama school. 15-16. Hardy spent much time in his youth drinking alcohol and using crack cocaine to cope with stresses and has suffered significant bouts of dysthymia. He has previously said that he was out of control with his alcohol and drug use before going to rehabilitation in 2003. 17-18-19. Career. 1998 to 2010, early roles and breakthrough. Hardy at the London premiere of Inception in 2010. In 1998, Hardy won the Big Breakfast's Find Me a Supermodel competition at the age of 21, although the program said he was 20, earning him a brief contract with Models 1. 20 Hardy joined Drama Centre London in September 1998, and was taken out early after winning the part of the United States Army Private John Janovic in the HBO BBC miniseries Band of Brothers. 21. He made his feature film debut in Ridley Scott's war thriller Black Hawk Down, 2001. 22 During this time, Hardy also had a brief stint as a rapper and hip-hop producer with his friend Edward Tracy, under the name Tommy No. 1 plus Eddie Too Tall, with whom he recorded a mixtape called Falling on Your Arse in 1999 that remained unreleased until 2018. 23. In 2002, Hardy appeared as the Reman Praetor Shinzen, a clone of USS Enterprise Captain Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek, Nemesis. 24 The following year, he appeared in the film The Eye, and then traveled to North Africa for Simon, an English legionnaire, a story of the French Foreign Legion. He then returned to the United Kingdom to feature in the horror film LD50 Lethal Dose, 2003. 25. Hardy was awarded the 2003 London Evening Standard Theatre Award for Outstanding Newcomer for his performances in Blood and In Arabia We'd All Be Kings, performed at the Royal Court Theatre and Hampstead Theatre. 26 He was also nominated for a 2004 Laurence Olivier Award for Most Promising Newcomer of 2003 in a Society of London Theatre affiliate for his performance as Skank in the aforementioned production of In Arabia We'd All Be Kings. 27 Hardy appeared with Emilia Fox in the BBC miniseries The Virgin Queen, 2005, as Robert Dudley, a childhood friend of Elizabeth I. Dudley's character has been described as an ambiguous young man who is torn between the affection of his wife, played by Fox, his love for Elizabeth, and his own ambitions. 28. Hardy featured in the BBC 4 adaptation of the 1960s science fiction series A for Andromeda. 29. Hardy in 2014. In 2007, he appeared in BBC 2's drama based on a true story Stuart, A Life Backwards. He played the lead role of Stuart Shorter, a homeless man who had been subjected to years of abuse and whose death was possibly a suicide. 30. The same year he played Bill Sikes in the BBC miniseries Oliver Twist, an adaptation of Charles Dickens's novel that aired on PBS Masterpiece Classic in the US. In February 2008 he played a drug-addicted rapist in the British horror thriller W Delta Z. 31. In September 2008 he appeared in Guy Ritchie's London gangster film, Rock'n'Rolla. Hardy played the role of the gay gangster Handsome Bob. 32. In 2008 Hardy starred in the film Bronson, about the English prisoner Charles Bronson, who has spent most of his adult life in solitary confinement. For the film, he put on 3 stone, 42 pounds or 19 kilograms. 33. In June 2009, Hardy starred in Martina Cole's 4-part TV drama The Take on Sky One as a drug and alcohol-fueled gangster. The role gained him a Best Actor nomination at the 2009 Crime Thriller Awards. 34. In August 2009 he appeared in ITV's Wuthering Heights, playing the role of Heathcliff. 35-36. In early 2010 Hardy starred in The Long Red Road at the Goodman Theatre in Chicago, US. 37. The play was written by Brett C. Leonard and directed by Philip Seymour Hoffman. Hardy won some good reviews for his portrayal of Sam, an alcoholic trying to drink away his past. 38-39. In 2010 he starred as Eames in Christopher Nolan's science fiction thriller Inception, for which Hardy won a BAFTA Rising Star Award. Hardy replaced Michael Fassbender in the 2011 film adaptation of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy 40 which premiered at the Venice International Film Festival. In March 2010 Hardy signed a first-look deal at Warner Brothers. 41. 2011 to 2017, Hollywood stardom. In 2011, Hardy appeared in the film Warrior, which was released on September 9, 2011 by Lionsgate Films. His performance as Tommy Riordan, who is trained by his father to fight in a mixed martial arts tournament against his brother, gained praise from critics. Hardy also starred in This Means War, 2012, a romantic comedy directed by McG. He played the DC Comics supervillain Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, the final film in Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy, released on July 20, 2012. 42. He played a bootlegger in John Hillcoat's crime drama Lawless, 2012. 43. Hardy signed up to play the lead role of Sam Fisher in Ubisoft's film adaptation of their video game series Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell. 44-45. He also appeared in Riz MC's music video for the song Sour Times. 46. In 2013, Hardy starred in the drama film Lock. 47. In 2014 he appeared in the crime film The Drop alongside James Gandolfini, in what would be Gandolfini's final appearance in a feature film before his death. Hardy also joined the cast of the BBC crime drama Peaky Blinders in its second series. He portrays Alfie Solomons, who is based on a real-life East End Jewish gangster named Alfred Solomon, the head of a Jewish gang based in Camden Town, and the runner of a distillery which disguises itself as a bakery. 48. Writing for Medium, Shani Silver described Hardy's portrayal of Alfie Solomons as the scene-stealingest character of all time, commenting that I've never understood if Alfie was meant to be a villain or comedic foil or some piqué mix of both, but I've never loved every second of someone's screen time more. 49. Hardy, Right, with George Miller and Charlize Theron at the 2015 Cannes Film Festival. Hardy starred in 5 films in 2015. The first, Child 44, set in 1950s Soviet Union, saw him playing Leo Demidov, a Soviet secret police agent who investigates a series of child murders. Despite mild praise for his acting, Child 44 was reviewed negatively by critics and was a box office failure. 50 Hardy then played the title character, Max Rockatansky, in the action film Mad Max, Fury Road, 2015. 51-52 His performance was praised by critics. 53-54 and overall the film received critical acclaim and became a box office success. 55 grossing over $378 million against a $150 million budget, becoming the highest grossing film in the Mad Max franchise. 56 He played a dual role as London gangsters Reggie and Ronnie Kray in the crime thriller Legend, 2015. 57 On December 7, 2015 Hardy won Best Actor at the British Independent Film Awards for his portrayal of the Kray twins, and on the same night attended the premiere of the biographical Western thriller The Revenant, in which he reunited with his Inception co-star Leonardo DiCaprio at Leicester Square, London. 58-59 On January 14, 2016 Hardy received his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for his performance in The Revenant. 60. Hardy played a Royal Air Force fighter pilot in Nolan's action thriller Dunkirk, 2017, based on the British military evacuation of the French port of Dunkirk in 1940 during the Second World War. He appeared alongside Mark Rylance, Kenneth Branagh, Cillian Murphy, and Harry Styles. 61 Hardy also co-produced and starred in the 8-part BBC One television drama series Taboo. It was created by Hardy, Stephen Knight, and Hardy's father, Edward Chips Hardy. Taboo was aired in the United States by FX. 62. 2018, present, Venom Films and Beyond. In 2018, Hardy starred in the film Venom as the title comic book sometime hero, Eddie Brock, and the symbiote Venom. 63-64 Based on the Marvel source material, the film was released on October 5, and is the first installment in Sony's Spider-Man universe. In 2019 Hardy served as an executive producer in the 2019 BBC/FX 3-part miniseries A Christmas Carol. 65-66 In 2020 Hardy starred in Josh Trank's Al Capone biographical film Capone. 67. Hardy is attached to star as the British war photographer Don McCullin in a film based on McCullin's autobiography, Unreasonable Behavior. 68 Hardy reprised the role of Eddie Brock and Venom in the sequel Venom, Let There Be Carnage and co-wrote the story for the film. 69 He is also slated to star as the Antarctic explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton in a biopic being created by the same makers of Taboo. 70 The Shackleton film, which will cover one of the most harrowing stories of survival in exploration history, is also being produced by Hardy's production company Hardy Son and Baker. 70 In May 2024 he and Mahershala Ali were announced to be working on the crime thriller 77 Blackout. The Venom film franchise ended in October 2024 with Venom, The Last Dance. 71 Currently, Hardy stars in Guy Ritchie's Mobland which premiered March 30, 2025 on Paramount+. It features Pierce Brosnan and Helen Mirren as heads of the Harrigan crime family. 72 Hardy also starred in the Netflix film Havoc. Philanthropy. In 2010, Hardy became an ambassador for the Prince's Trust, a British youth charity which provides training, personal development, business startup support, mentoring, and advice. 73 In 2012 he and his then-girlfriend, now wife, Charlotte Riley became patrons of Bowel Cancer UK. 74 Prior to the inaugural Invictus Games held in London in September 2014, he, along with other entertainers and athletes, read the poem Invictus in a promotional video. 75. Personal life. Hardy married Sarah Ward, a producer, in 1999, and they divorced in 2004. 76 He met and began dating the assistant director Rachel Speed on the set of The Virgin Queen in 2005, and they later had a son 77 before separating in 2009. 78 That year, he began a relationship with the actress Charlotte Riley after they met on the set of Wuthering Heights, and they were married in July 2014. 79 together they have 2 children, a son born in October 2015 and a son born in December 2018. They had 1 rescue dog, Woodstock, and Hardy appeared with Woodstock in a PETA advertisement to promote pet adoption. 80 Woodstock died on June 5, 2017 due to an aggressive case of polymyositis at 6 years old. 81. While portraying the prisoner Charles Bronson during the production of Bronson, Hardy met Bronson several times and the two became friends. Bronson was impressed with how Hardy managed to match his muscularity and how well he could mimic Bronson's personality and voice, stating that he believed Hardy was the only person who could play him. He also shaved off his trademark mustache and sent it to Hardy in the hopes that Hardy would wear it in the film. 82 According to Bronson's son, George Bambi, Hardy was banned from visiting Bronson in prison following the film's release. 83. While some outlets describe Hardy as a male feminist, he has stated that he would love to say that, but that it is a hard word for him to throw around because he says he has not studied feminism. Hardy added that he considers himself pro-feminism. 84, 85, 86. An avid practitioner of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, he has won a number of Jiu-Jitsu competitions 87, 88, 89 with one such occurrence being at the UMAC Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Open Championships in September 2022. 90 He is the lead ambassador for the reorged Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Foundation 91 a Royal Marines-backed charity allowing current and former military personnel to learn the martial art as part of their recovery and to combat physical and mental challenges. 92 Hardy was promoted to purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on June 19, 2023. 93 In 2026, he received his brown belt from Sonny Weston, head instructor at Horsham BJJ, in a promotion tied to a seminar visit from Tom DeBlas. 94. He has a keen interest for painting and drawing. In October 2023, Hardy signed the Artists for Ceasefire open letter to U.S. President Joe Biden, calling for a permanent ceasefire in the Gaza war, the release of all hostages, and the delivery of life-saving aid to civilians in Gaza. Charlize Theron, /Arliss Theta RN /Charlize Theron 1 Afrikaans, Arliss drawn 2 born August 7, 1975, is a South African 3 and American actress and producer. One of the world's highest paid actresses, she is the recipient of various accolades, including an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award. In 2016, Time named her one of the 100 most influential people in the world. She came to international prominence in the 1990s by playing the leading lady in the Hollywood films The Devil's Advocate, 1997, Mighty Joe Young, 1998, and The Cider House Rules, 1999. She received critical acclaim for her portrayal of serial killer Aileen Wuornos in Monster, 2003, for which she won the Silver Bear and Academy Award for Best Actress, becoming the first South African to win an acting Oscar. She received another Academy Award nomination for playing a sexually abused woman seeking justice in the drama North Country, 2005. She has starred in several commercially successful action films, including The Italian Job, 2003, Hancock, 2008, Prometheus, 2012, Mad Max, Fury Road, 2015, Atomic Blonde, 2017, and The Old Guard, 2020, as well as several Fast and Furious installments, The Fate of the Furious, 2017, F9, 2021, and Fast X, 2023. She received praise for playing troubled women in Jason Reitman's comedy dramas Young Adult, 2011, and Tully, 2018, and for portraying Megyn Kelly in the biographical drama Bombshell, 2019, she received her third Academy Award nomination. Since the early 2000s, she has ventured into film production with her company Denver and Delilah Productions. She has produced numerous films, many in which she had a starring role, including The Burning Plane, 2008, Dark Places, 2015, and Long Shot, 2019. Theron became an American citizen in 2007, while retaining her South African citizenship. Early life. Charlize Theron was born in Benoni, in Transvaal Province, Gauteng Province since 1994, of South Africa. 5. She is the only child of road builders 6 Gerda, née Maritz, 7, 16-18 and Charles Theron. 7, 16-18. 34. The second Boer War military leader Daniel Theron was her great-granduncle. 7, 14. She is from an Afrikaner family, and her ancestry includes Dutch as well as French and German. Her French forebears were early Huguenots in South Africa. 7, 14. Although Theron is fluent in English, her first language is Afrikaans. 8, 9. She grew up on her parents' farm in Benoni, near Johannesburg. 10, 11, 12, 13. On June 21, 1991, Theron's father, an alcoholic 10, threatened both Charlize and her mother while drunk, physically attacking her mother and firing a gun at both of them. 14. Theron's mother retrieved her own handgun, shot back and killed him. 14. The shooting was legally adjudged to have been self-defense, and her mother faced no charges. 15, 16. Theron attended Pootfontein Primary School, latter school Pootfontein, 11. A period during which she has said she was not fitting in. 17. She was frequently unwell with jaundice throughout childhood and the antibiotics she was administered made her upper incisor milk teeth rot, they had to be surgically removed. Theron's permanent teeth did not grow until she was roughly 10 years old. 18, 19. At 13, Theron was sent to boarding school and began her studies at the National School of the Arts in Johannesburg. 10, 18. About her early life in her home country, Theron has said, "I grew up as an only child in South Africa, and there was turmoil in my family, but the surroundings were so great. I was usually barefoot in the dirt, no Game Boys, no computers, and we had sanctions, so there were no concerts. This meant you had to entertain yourself." 20. Career. 1991 to 2002, early work and breakthrough. Although she saw herself as a dancer 21, Theron left South Africa at age 16 to begin a modeling career in Europe. 22. That same year, she won a one-year modeling contract 10 at a local competition in Salerno, Italy 21-23 and moved with her mother to Milan, Italy. 24-25. After Theron spent a year modeling throughout Europe, she and her mother moved to the United States. They resided in New York City and Miami. 25. In New York, she attended the Joffrey Ballet School, where she trained as a ballet dancer until a knee injury closed this career path. 21-26. As Theron recalled in 2008, "I went to New York for 3 days to model, and then I spent a winter in New York in a friend's windowless basement apartment. I was broke, I was taking class at the Joffrey Ballet, and my knees gave out. I realized I couldn't dance anymore, and I went into a major depression. My mom came over from South Africa and said, either you figure out what to do next or you come home, because you can sulk in South Africa." 21. In 1994-27, Theron flew to Los Angeles on a one-way ticket her mother bought for her. She intended to work in the film industry. 21. During her initial months there, she lived in a motel with the $300 budget that her mother had given her. 6. She continued receiving checks from New York and lived from paycheck to paycheck. 28. Theron stole bread from a basket in a restaurant to survive. 28-6. One day, she went to a Hollywood Boulevard bank to cash a few checks, including one her mother had sent to help with the rent. 26-6. However, the check from her mother was rejected because it was out of state and she was not an American citizen. 6. Theron argued and pleaded with the bank teller until talent agent John Crosby, 26, who was the next customer behind her, cashed it for her and gave her his business card. 10-6. Crosby introduced Theron to an acting school. 29. In 1995, she played her first non-speaking film role in the horror film Children of the Corn 3, Urban Harvest. 10. In Theron's first speaking role, she portrayed Heatwoman Helga Svelgen in 2 Days in the Valley, 1996. Despite the film's mixed reviews, Theron drew attention due to her beauty and to a scene in which she fought Terry Hatcher's character. 6/30/31 Theron feared being typecast as characters similar to Helga and recalled being asked to repeat her performance in the film during audition 6. A lot of people were saying, "You should just hit while the iron's hot," but playing the same part over and over doesn't leave you with any longevity. And I knew it was going to be harder for me, because of what I look like, to branch out to different kinds of roles. 30. When auditioning for Showgirls, Theron was introduced to talent agent J.J. Harris by co-casting director Johanna Ray. She recalled being surprised at how much faith Harris had in her potential. Theron has referred to Harris as her mentor. Harris found scripts and films for Theron in a variety of genres and encouraged her to become a producer. She served as Theron's agent for over 15 years. 6/24. Theron's career expanded by the end of the 1990s. In the horror drama The Devil's Advocate, 1997, which is credited as her breakout film 32, Theron starred alongside Keanu Reeves and Al Pacino as the haunted wife of an unusually successful lawyer. She subsequently starred in the adventure film Mighty Joe Young, 1998, as the friend and protector of a giant mountain gorilla, and in the drama The Cider House Rules, 1999, as a woman who seeks an abortion in World War II-era Maine. 10. While Mighty Joe Young flopped at the box office, 33, The Devil's Advocate and The Cider House Rules were commercially successful. 34-35 She appeared on the cover of the January 1999 issue of Vanity Fair as the White Hot Venus. 36 The May 1999 issue of Playboy magazine also featured Theron on its cover. The photos of Theron used by Playboy had been taken several years earlier when she was an unknown model, and Theron unsuccessfully sued the magazine for publishing them without her consent. 37-38 By the early 2000s, Theron continued to steadily take on roles in films such as Reindeer Games, 2000, The Yards, 2000, The Legend of Bagger Vance, 2000, Men of Honor, 2000, Sweet November, 2001, The Curse of the Jade Scorpion, 2001, and Trapped, 2002, all of which, despite achieving only limited commercial success, helped to establish her as an actress. On this period in her career, Theron remarked, "I kept finding myself in a place where directors would back me but studios didn't. I began a love affair with directors, the ones I really, truly admired. I found myself making really bad movies, too. Reindeer Games was not a good movie, but I did it because I loved director John Frankenheimer." 39. 2003 to 2010, Rise to Prominence. Theron on the cover of Ms. Magazine in 2005. Theron starred as a safe and vault technician in the 2003 heist film The Italian Job, an American remake of the 1969 British film of the same name, directed by F. Gary Gray and opposite Mark Wahlberg, Edward Norton, Jason Statham, Seth Green, and Donald Sutherland. The film was a box office success, grossing $176 million worldwide. 40. In Monster, 2003, Theron portrayed serial killer Aileen Wuornos, a former prostitute who was executed in Florida in 2002 for killing 6 men. She was not tried for a 7th murder. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, 10 film critic Roger Ebert felt that Theron gave one of the greatest performances in the history of the cinema. 41. For her portrayal, she was awarded the Academy Award for Best Actress at the 76th Academy Awards in February 2004. 42. As well as the Screen Actors Guild Award and the Golden Globe Award. 43. She is the first South African to win an Oscar for Best Actress. 44. The Oscar win pushed her to the Hollywood Reporter's 2006 list of highest paid actresses in Hollywood, earning up to $10 million for a film. She ranked 7th. 45. Ask Men named her the #1 most desirable woman of 2003. 46. For her role as Swedish actress and singer Britt Ekland in the 2004 HBO film The Life and Death of Peter Sellers, Theron garnered Golden Globe Award and Primetime Emmy Award nominations. 47 in 2005, she portrayed Rita, the mentally challenged love interest of Michael Bluth, Jason Bateman, on the third season of Fox's television series Arrested Development 48 and starred in the financially unsuccessful science fiction thriller Aeon Flux. For her voiceover work in the Aeon Flux video game, she received a Spike Video Game Award for Best Performance by a Human Female. 4950. Theron attending the premiere of North Country at the 2005 Toronto International Film Festival. In the critically acclaimed drama North Country, 2005, Theron played a single mother and an iron mine worker experiencing sexual harassment. David Rooney of Variety wrote, "The film represents a confident next step for lead Charlize Theron. Though the challenges of following a career-redefining Oscar role have stymied actresses, Theron segues from monster to a performance in many ways more accomplished. The strength of both the performance and character anchor the film firmly in the tradition of other dramas about working-class women leading the fight over industrial workplace issues, such as Norma Rae or Silkwood." 51. Roger Ebert echoed the same sentiment, calling her an actress who has the beauty of a fashion model but has found resources within herself for these powerful roles about unglamorous women in the world of men. 52. For her performance, she received Academy Award and Golden Globe Award nominations for Best Actress. 53-43 Ms. Magazine honored her for this performance with a feature article in its fall 2005 issue. 54 On September 30, 2005, Theron received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. 44. In 2007, Theron played a police detective in the critically acclaimed crime film In the Valley of Illa, and produced and starred as a reckless, slatternly mother in the drama film Sleepwalking, alongside Nick Stahl and Anna Sophia Robb. The Christian Science Monitor praised the latter film, commenting that despite its deficiencies, and the inadequate screen time allotted to Theron, who's quite good, Sleepwalking has a core of feeling. 55 In 2008, Theron starred as a woman who faced a traumatic childhood in the drama The Burning Plain, directed by Guillermo Arriaga and opposite Jennifer Lawrence and Kim Basinger, and played the ex-wife of an alcoholic superhero alongside Will Smith in the superhero film Hancock. The Burning Plain found a limited release in U.S. theaters 56 but grossed $5,267,917 outside the U.S. Hancock made $624.3 million worldwide. 57 Also in 2008, Theron was named the Hasty Pudding Theatricals Woman of the Year 58 and was asked to be a UN Messenger of Peace by the UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon. 59. Her film releases in 2009 were the post-apocalyptic drama The Road, in which she briefly appears in flashbacks, and the animated film Astro Boy, providing her voice for a character. On December 4, 2009, Theron co-presented the draw for the 2010 FIFA World Cup in Cape Town, South Africa, accompanied by several other celebrities of South African nationality or ancestry. During rehearsals she drew an Ireland ball instead of France as a joke at the expense of FIFA, referring to Thierry Henry's handball controversy in the playoff match between France and Ireland. 60-61 The stunt alarmed FIFA enough for it to fear she might do it again in front of a live global audience. 62. 2011 to 2019, established actress. Following a 2-year hiatus from films, Theron returned to the spotlight in 2011 with the black comedy Young Adult. Directed by Jason Reitman, the film earned critical acclaim, particularly for her performance as a depressed, divorced, alcoholic 37-year-old ghostwriter. Richard Roper awarded the film a grade, stating Charlize Theron delivers one of the most impressive performances of the year. 63 She was nominated for a Golden Globe Award and several other awards. Roger Ebert called her one of the best actors working today. 64. Theron promoting Prometheus at the 2012 WonderCon. In 2012, Theron took on the role of villain in 2 big-budgeted films. She played evil Queen Ravenna, Snow White's evil stepmother, in Snow White and the Huntsman 65 opposite Kristen Stewart and Chris Hemsworth, and appeared as a crew member with a hidden agenda in Ridley Scott's Prometheus. Nicholas Hoult of the San Francisco Chronicle found Snow White and the Huntsman to be a slow, boring film that has no charm and is highlighted only by a handful of special effects and Charlize Theron's truly evil Queen, 66, while The Hollywood Reporter writer Todd McCarthy, describing her role in Prometheus, asserted, "Theron is in ice goddess mode here, with the emphasis on ice, but perfect for the role all the same." 67 Both films were major box office hits, grossing around $400 million internationally each. 68-69 The following year, Vulture/New York Mag named her the 68th most valuable star in Hollywood, saying, "We're just happy that Theron can stay on the list in a year when she didn't come out with anything. Any actress who's got that kind of skill, beauty, and ferocity ought to have a permanent place in Hollywood." 70 On May 10, 2014, Theron hosted Saturday Night Live on NBC. 71-72 In 2014, Theron took on the role of the wife of an infamous outlaw in the Western comedy film A Million Ways to Die in the West, directed by Seth MacFarlane, which was met with mediocre reviews and moderate box office returns. 73-74. In 2015, Theron played the sole survivor of the massacre of her family in the film adaptation of the Gillian Flynn novel Dark Places, directed by Jill Packett-Brenner, in which she had a producer credit. 75 And starred as Imperator Furiosa in Mad Max, Fury Road, 2015, opposite Tom Hardy. 76-77 Mad Max received widespread critical acclaim, with praise going towards Theron for the dominant nature taken by her character. 78 The film made $378.4 million worldwide. 79 She next reprised her role as Queen Ravenna in the 2016 film The Huntsman, Winter's War, a sequel to Snow White and the Huntsman 80, which was a critical and commercial failure. 81 In 2016, Theron starred as a physician and activist working in West Africa in the little-seen romantic drama The Last Face, with Sean Penn. 82 provided her voice for the 3D stop-motion fantasy film Kubo and the Two Strings, and produced the independent drama Brain on Fire. That year, Time named her in the Time 100 list of the most influential people in the world. 83. Theron at the 2017 San Diego Comic-Con. In 2017, Theron starred in The Fate of the Furious as the cyber-terrorist Cypher, the main antagonist of the entire franchise, and played a spy on the eve of the collapse of the Berlin Wall in 1989 in Atomic Blonde, an adaptation of the graphic novel The Coldest City, directed by David Leitch. 84 The Fate of the Furious had a worldwide gross of $1.2 billion. 85 And Atomic Blonde was described by Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times as a slick vehicle for the magnetic, badass charms of Charlize Theron, who is now officially an A-list action star on the strength of this film and Mad Max, Fury Road. 86 In the black comedy Tully, 2018, directed by Jason Reitman and written by Diablo Cody, Theron played an overwhelmed mother of three. The film was acclaimed by critics, who concluded it delves into the modern parenthood experience with an admirably deft blend of humor and raw honesty, brought to life by an outstanding performance by Charlize Theron. 87 She played the president of a pharmaceutical corporation in the crime film Gringo and produced the biographical war drama film A Private War, both released in 2018. 88. In 2019, Theron produced and starred in the romantic comedy film Long Shot, opposite Seth Rogen and directed by Jonathan Levine, portraying a U.S. Secretary of State who reconnects with a journalist she used to babysit. 89 The film had its world premiere at South by Southwest in March, and was released on May 3 to positive reviews from film critics. 90 Theron next starred as Megyn Kelly in the drama Bombshell, which she co-produced. Directed by Jay Roach, the film revolves around the sexual harassment allegations made against Fox News CEO Roger Ailes by former female employees. 91 For her work in the film, Theron was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Actress, 92 Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Motion Picture, Drama, 93 Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Actress, 94 Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Leading Role, 95, and BAFTA Award for Best Actress in a Leading Role. 96 that year, Forbes ranked her as the 9th highest paid actress in the world, with an annual income of $23 million. 4. 2020, present, continued success. In 2020, she produced and starred opposite Kiki Lane in the superhero film The Old Guard, directed by Gina Prince-Bythewood. 97-98 the following year, she reprised her role as Cypher in F9, originally set for release on 22 May 2020, 99 before its delay to June 2021 due to the COVID-19 pandemic. 100. In 2022, Theron appeared in several projects. Upon the film's release in May, it was revealed that Theron would portray the character Keough in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, MCU, beginning with her debut in the mid-credits scene of the superhero film Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. 101 She played Lady Lesso in the fantasy Netflix film The School for Good and Evil. 102 and filmed a cameo in the 3rd season opener of The Boys as an actress playing Stormfront. 103. In 2023, Theron reprised her role as Cypher in Fast X and executive produced the HBO documentary series Last Call, when a serial killer stalked queer New York about a serial killer preying on gay men. 104 In 2024, she was cast in Christopher Nolan's upcoming epic film The Odyssey, 2026. 105. She participated in the 2026 Winter Olympics opening ceremony, held in Milan's San Siro Stadium. Influences and process. Theron is inspired by actresses Susan Sarandon and Sigourney Weaver. 6. She has described her admiration for Tom Hanks as a love affair and watched many of his films throughout her youth. 106. 6 Hollywood actors were not featured in magazines in South Africa, so she did not know how famous he was until she moved to the United States. 6 Which has been inferred as a factor of her down-to-earth attitude to fame. 107 After filming for That Thing You Do finished, Theron got Hanks' autograph on her script. 108 She later presented him his Cecil B. DeMille Award in 2020, in which Hanks revealed that he had a mutual admiration for Theron's career since the day he met her. 109. In 2019, Theron spoke about her method of working on roles. Creating a physical identity together with the emotional part of the character, she said, is a great tool set that adds on to everything else you were already doing as an actor. It's a case-by-case thing, but there is, to me, this beautiful thing that happens when you can get both sides, the exterior and interior. It's a really powerful dynamic. When preparing for a role, I almost treat it like studying. I will find space where I am alone, where I can be focused, where there's nobody in my house, and I can really just sit down and study and play and look at my face and hear my voice and walk around and be a fucking idiot, and my dogs are the only ones who are seeing that. 110. Other ventures. Activism. Theron speaking at a meeting of the World Economic Forum in 2013. The Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project, TAOP, was created in 2007 by Theron, in an effort to support African youth in the fight against HIV/AIDS. By November 2017, TAOP had raised more than $6.3 million to support African organizations working on the ground. 111. In 2008, Theron was named a United Nations Messenger of Peace. 112-113 In his citation, Ban Ki-moon said of Theron, "You have consistently dedicated yourself to improving the lives of women and children in South Africa, and to preventing and stopping violence against women and girls." 114 She recorded a public service announcement in 2014 as part of the UN Stop Rape Now program. 115. In December 2009, TAOP and Tom's Shoes partnered to create a limited edition unisex shoe. The shoe was made from vegan materials and inspired by the African baobab tree, the silhouette of which was embroidered on blue and orange canvas. 10,000 pairs were given to destitute children, and a portion of the proceeds went to TAOP. 116. In 2020, TAOP partnered with parfums Christian Dior to create Dior Stands with Women, an initiative that includes Cara Delevingne, Yalitza Aparicio, Paloma El Cesar, and others, to encourage women to be assertive by documenting their journey, challenges and accomplishments. 117. Theron is involved in women's rights organizations and has marched in pro-choice rallies. 118. Theron is a supporter of same-sex marriage and attended a march and rally to support that in Fresno, California, on May 30, 2009. 119. She publicly stated that she refused to get married until same-sex marriage became legal in the United States, saying, "I don't want to get married because right now the institution of marriage feels very one-sided, and I want to live in a country where we all have equal rights. I think it would be exactly the same if we were married, but for me to go through that kind of ceremony, because I have so many friends who are gays and lesbians who would so badly want to get married, that I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself." 120. Theron further elaborated on her stance in a June 2011 interview on Piers Morgan Tonight. She stated, "I do have a problem with the fact that our government hasn't stepped up enough to make this federal, to make gay marriage legal. I think everybody has that right." 121. In March 2014, TAOP was among the charities that benefited from the annual Fame and Philanthropy fundraising event on the night of the 86th Academy Awards. Theron was an honored guest along with Halle Berry and keynote speaker James Cameron. 122. In 2015, Theron signed an open letter which one campaign had been collecting signatures for. The letter was addressed to Angela Merkel and co-President Dlamini Zuma, urging them to focus on women as they serve as the head of the G7 in Germany and the O in South Africa respectively, which will start to set the priorities in development funding before a main UN summit in September 2015 that will establish new development goals for the generation. 123. In August 2017, she visited South Africa with Trevor Noah and made a donation to the South African charity Life Choices. 124. In 2018, she gave a speech about AIDS prevention at the 22nd International AIDS Conference in Amsterdam, organized by the International AIDS Society. 125. On June 22, 2022, it was announced that Theron and Cheryl Lee Ralph would receive the Elizabeth Taylor Commitment to End AIDS Award for their commitment to raising awareness of HIV at the Elizabeth Taylor Ball to End AIDS fundraising gala. 126. Endorsements. Having signed a deal with John Galliano in 2004, Theron replaced Estonian model Taiju Cook as the spokeswoman in the J'adore advertisements by Christian Dior. 127. In June 2024, Dior announced Theron would no longer be the face of J'adore and would be replaced by Barbadian singer and businesswoman Rihanna. 128. From October 2005 to December 2006, Theron earned $3 million for the use of her image in a worldwide print media advertising campaign for Raymond Weil watches. 129. In February 2006, she and her production company were sued by Weil for breach of contract. 129. 130. The lawsuit was settled on November 4, 2008. 131. In 2018, Theron joined Brad Pitt, Daniel Wu, and Adam Driver as brand ambassadors for Breitling, dubbed the Breitling Cinema Squad. 132. 133. Personal life. In 2007, Theron became a naturalized citizen of the United States. 134. While retaining her South African citizenship. 135. Theron adopted 2 young daughters. 136. 137. She has been interested in adoption since childhood, when she became aware of orphanages and the overflowing numbers of children in them. 24 In April 2019, Theron revealed that one of her daughters, then 7 years old, is a transgender girl. She said of her daughters, "They were born who they are, and exactly where in the world both of them get to find themselves as they grow up, and who they want to be, is not for me to decide." 138. Theron said in 2018 that she went to therapy in her 30s because of anger, discovering that it was due to her frustration growing up during South Africa's apartheid. 125-24, which ended when she was 15. 24. Theron is a longtime fan of the English band Depeche Mode and was the presenter for their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction in 2020. 139. Relationships. Theron's first public relationship was with actor Craig Bierko, whom she dated from 1995 to 1997. 140-141. Theron was in a 3-year relationship with singer Stephen Jenkins until October 2001. Some of Third Eye Blind's third album, Out of the Vein, explores the emotions Jenkins experienced as a result of their breakup. 142-143. Theron was in a relationship with Irish actor Stuart Townsend from 2001 to 2009 after meeting him on the set of Trapped. The couple lived together in Los Angeles and Ireland. 144-145. In December 2013, Theron began dating American actor Sean Penn. 146. The relationship ended in June 2015. 147. There were reports they were engaged, which Theron strongly denied, adding that the relationship had ended before it ever became serious. 148. Theron starred in Penn's film The Last Face, 2016, which they filmed while still a couple. 149. In July 2025, Theron appeared on the podcast Call Her Daddy to candidly express her newly discovered love of casual sex, including having sex with a man 23 years her junior. 150. Health concerns. Theron often quips that she has more injuries on sets that are not action films. 151. However, while filming Ian Flux in Berlin, Theron suffered a herniated disc in her neck, caused by a fall while filming a series of back handsprings. It required her to wear a neck brace for a month. 152. Her thumb ligament tore during filming of The Old Guard when her thumb caught in another actor's jacket during a fight scene, which required 3 operations and 6 months in a thumb brace. 153-154. During the filming of Atomic Blonde she broke teeth from clenching her jaw. 155. And had dental surgery to remove them. I had the removal and I had to put a donor bone in there to heal until I came back, and then I had another surgery to put a metal screw in there. 154. Outside of action films, she had a herniated disc in her lower back as she filmed Tully and suffered from a depression-like state, which she theorized was the result of the processed food she had to eat for her character's postnatal body. 156. In July 2009, she was diagnosed with a serious stomach virus, thought to be contracted while overseas. 157-158. While filming The Road, Theron injured her vocal cords while screaming during the labor scenes. 159. When promoting Long Shot, she revealed that she laughed so hard at Borat that her neck locked for 5 days. 160. She added that on the set of Long Shot she ended up in the ER after knocking her head against a bench behind her when she was putting on knee pads. 160. Hugh Keays-Byrne, May 18, 1947 to December 2, 2020, was a British-Australian actor. He began his career on stage in his native England, where he was member of the Royal Shakespeare Company between 1968 and 1972. After emigrating to Australia in 1973, he established himself as a supporting actor in action and thriller films such as Stone and The Man from Hong Kong. His breakthrough film role was as the antagonist Toe Cutter in the original Mad Max. 1 decade later, he played another villain in the series, Immortan Joe in Mad Max, Fury Road. 1. Over the course of his career, Keys-Byrne was nominated for an ACTA Award and won a Logie Award for his performance in the television drama Rush. The 2024 prequel to Fury Road Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, is dedicated to his memory. Early life. Keys-Byrne was born in Srinagar, in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, part of the British Raj then, India now, to British parents. His family returned to Britain when India was partitioned. 2. He was raised mainly in Surrey, and picked up an interest in acting after being spotted by a drama teacher at the comprehensive school he was attending. 3. He got his first professional acting roles with a theatre in education troupe, and was mentored by Bernard Miles at the Mermaid Theatre in London. 3. Career. Between 1968 and 1972, Keys-Byrne had parts in Royal Shakespeare Company productions including As You Like It, The Balcony, King Lear 4, Hamlet 5, Much Ado About Nothing 6, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Tempest, or The Enchanted Island, Dr. Faustus, The Man of Mode, Troilus and Cressida, Enemies, The Revenger's Tragedy, and Bartholomew Fair. 7. Keys-Byrne made his first television appearance in 1967 on the British television programme Boy Meets Girl. 8. He was part of Peter Brook's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream with the Royal Shakespeare Company, which toured Australia in 1973. Keys-Byrne decided to remain in Australia after the tour ended. 1. In 1974, he acted in the TV film Essington, then made his first film appearance in the motorcycle picture Stone. This was followed by supporting roles in films such as The Man from Hong Kong, Mad Dog Morgan, The Trespassers, and Snapshot. 9-10. After his first starring role in the TV film Death Train 11, Keys-Byrne was cast as the violent gang leader Toe Cutter in Mad Max. Director George Miller had Keys-Byrne and the other actors for the gang traveled from Sydney to Melbourne in a group on motorcycles, as there was no money for airplane tickets. In an early international print of the film, Keys-Byrne was dubbed with a bad American accent, which Miller later regretted. 12. Keys-Byrne then continued to act in post-apocalyptic and science fiction films such as The Chain Reaction,